the first independent, unbiased, and completely free source of entertainment and information in the universe. RawCast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, in-betweeners and outsiders, to the second episode of the RawCast. How are you? I am pretty sure that you are feeling like a piece of crap because today it's Thursday, the 7th of April 2002, and it's a working day, and you're probably at work, or you're standing in line at the bank if you're still going to the bank, or you're trying to catch a coffee, or you're sleeping at the wheel at the traffic light and the light is about to turn red and the guy behind you is going to honk his horn and you're going to say, "You motherfucking piece of shit," and you will want to walk out of your car and go to his car and smash his head in because you're having a shitty day and your husband won't fuck you at home and the children are always screaming and demanding of shit, and there's car payments coming up, and rent is due, and somebody's pressuring you to conform and buy more shit that you don't really need so you can impress people that you really hate. And you know where I'm going with this shit. You have it 1,000 times before. Hello and how are you, ladies and gentlemen? This is episode number 2, RawCast. How are you? I hope you're feeling great. I hope you're feeling fine. I hope you're not trying to commit suicide because today is a working day and you're fearing all the days ahead that are going to come that are going to be exactly like this one. You wake up, you put on your shoes, you go to work, you come back and you fall asleep, and then you wake up and do the same shit and then you die. Well, yes, I hope you're good even if you're at work. I know how work feels. This is not work. This is play. This is what we do. We're enjoying ourselves here. Here we're enjoying ourselves. This is not work. This is play. How are you, ladies and gentlemen, outsiders in between? This is RawCast episode number 2. Before we begin our broadcast, before we continue on with our show, we'd like to clarify something. In the previous episode, which was episode number 1, one devout follower and listener and friend of the show informed us that there happened a slight and tiny tongue slip. We claimed that RawCast was being recorded and broadcasted from southern Cyprus, which is obviously not true. We'd like to clarify here and amend this slight tongue slip that this is not true. We're not broadcasting RawCast from southern Cyprus. We're not broadcasting RawCast from northern Cyprus. None of these are true. We're broadcasting RawCast from central Cyprus. Central, the center, the center, central, the center. So yeah, we thank you for the notification, and here's the clarification. This is RawCast episode number 2 being broadcast from Central Cyprus, and ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We are perfectly fine and dandy. Today we're going to be discussing about a small video that a friend of the show sent in. This friend is Alexander Alexis. So Alexander Alexis sent in this video, and this is from a university professor, an American university professor called Robert Sapolsky. Robert Sapolsky is a university lecturer at Stanford, and he's a neuroscientist and evolutionary biologist. Now, Robert was kind enough to sit down and take 10 minutes of his time. The video is 10 minutes long. It's not very long. You can watch it. We're gonna post the link down in the comments as usual. You're gonna find it below. So you're gonna find that clip there, and you're gonna watch it. It's in English. You're gonna find it very nice and very informative. And I'm gonna try and explain it in my poor and truncated way right here. What is Robert saying? So Robert recorded that video and uploaded it, and in it he's trying to give us, he's not trying, he's giving us the biological reasons why there is a divide we create and maintain and enforce this divide between the us's and the them's, as he likes to call it. Now, for example, here in Cyprus, we are the us's, yes, the us's, and there is a specific group we call the them's. So we are the us's, and we've got these A, B, C, D, E, X characteristics, and they are the them's, and they've got these A, B, C, D, E, X characteristics, and those characteristics makes them completely different. So here are the us's, and there are the them's, and we are in complete opposites to each other, and we're always fighting. So Robert comes in and says that these divides are being created, are being generated from outside forces, from the powers that be, from our esteemed and honored institutions, our political, our economical, our religious, our ideological institutions. So these institutions, they come in and they try to manipulate our consciousness, and they try to accentuate and pick up small differences that do exist there, and these differences are usually cosmetic or behavioral, in the sense that we might do things slightly different than the other guy. For example, we shake hands like this, and some other guys, when they want to greet people, they bow down like this. Oh, and we see that difference and we say, oh, what is this? This is different. Those guys do things differently than us, and obviously our way is the best and their way is weird. And again, these differences, if they exist, as we said before, they are cosmetic. For example, I'm white, that guy is black. Oh, big difference, let's do something about it. My eyes are like this, his eyes are like that. I speak in this time, he speaks in that time. Oh my God, we should do something about it. And those guys, they sound like fucking idiots, and listen to us. We've got flow, and we've got the vocabulary, and the way we say things is like exquisite. And if we want to analyze it even further, the words that we use have deeper meaning and connotations, and they're so rich and thick and full, and they explain the universe much more better than those guys' their languages, which are obviously so poor and cheap and easily manipulated. And you know the drill. We live with these things every day, and we think that they are worth to keep discussing, in those terms and in those conditions, but they're not actually. They just make us hate each other, and they just make us divide each other even more. And they take this perfectly created divine world, and they slice it up into small, hateful segments. Obviously, this is not good, and we're seeing these behaviors, the cause of these behaviors, we're seeing what is going on, like, for example, the war in Ukraine. There's people that have many more similarities than differences, and they're fighting each other, and each group is demonizing each other. Obviously, they've got their reasons, and obviously there are several reasons that why something like this might start and they might begin. But instead of trying to smooth out any differences, and instead of trying to unite whatever we perceive as different, we try to accentuate and enlarge and pick out and make it more strong and more evident there's a difference, and these guys are not like this, and we try to dehumanize the opponent, the them's. So we try to present ourselves as the best, and we try to dehumanize the others, and we just make them less than human. And if you make somebody less than human, then it's much more easier for you to go there and attack them and break their head in, just smash their head in, and break their legs and break their daughters and kill their cattle and all that crap. We've been doing that for at least 10,000 years, since the beginning of civilization. Just going into somebody else's home and saying, look at those guys, they do things like that, and for that reason they are pieces of shit, and we should destroy them, and we go out and destroy them, and then we just settle on their land, and then they come out and say after some years, because you can't really exterminate everybody, and lots of groups have tried to unsuccessfully exterminate other groups, totally. We used to call these things genocides and holocausts. But you can't really destroy them all, because first of all, it's an idiotic thing trying to destroy another group completely. Somebody's going to escape, and after they escape, they're going to slowly start to build up, and when they build up their armies, they're going to come back and they're going to claim revenge, and they're going to come and bash your head in, and it's going to be all your fault because you were an idiot in the first place. So yeah, all these things happen, and there are biological reasons why these things happen, and there is no, we're going to note it here, obviously, there's no biological imperative. There's not something that is set there and fixed in stone, and it's kind of making us behave like that. So our behaviors are not inescapable, obviously. They're not only inescapable, they're malleable, they are controlled. And our behaviors are being controlled by the powers that be. Have we said that before? Maybe we've said that before. We're going to say that again. Our lovely and esteemed institutions, our political, economical, religious, and ideological institutions, make sure that they manipulate our consciousness through words, through language, through text, through video, through images, through sounds, all these things. We've got books, and we've got televisions, and we've got the internet, and we've got all these wonderful technologies that we misuse, and we use those technologies to instill hate and fear and oppositions into our mind, and to make us feel, first of all, morally superior towards to them. So us, they cajole us and they coerce us into feeling morally superior where we haven't got any reason to feel morally superior. And they make the opponents seem morally inferior, scum of the earth. So we feel this moral indignation, and there is a biological reason for this. Now Robert explains it much more eloquently than I, so I'm gonna attempt to do it. But obviously, if you click on the video on the link, you're gonna see what Robert is saying, and you're gonna understand it much better than I am saying. What I'm gonna come and say is that we are being manipulated into thinking that we are different, and we are being manipulated into feeling that these differences are big enough for us to take up arms and slaughter each other. And we are being manipulated into feeling that we are isolated as individuals and as in groups, and we are being manipulated into feeling that we are being attacked from everywhere, and we are being manipulated into thinking that we are right. We, our group, and ourselves are right, and everybody else is wrong for that reason. And especially we are being manipulated into feeling that because we think and we feel that we are right, and we've got a divine right or whatever to feel that we are right, and everybody else around us and outside us are pieces of shit and they should be destroyed for it. Now Robert offers his biological reasons. He's calling about a part of our brain called the insula, and the insula is there to protect us, let's just say, in cases where we're about to get food poisoning. So you find a source of food and you pick it up and you try to eat it, and that source is contaminated for some reason, I don't know, it's being rotten. You bite into it, and at that moment your brain is telling you, come on, drop that shit, it's not good, just drop it, and you feel internally disgusted about it. Now it turns out that in humans you can manipulate our brains, again with information, by talking, by showing, by explaining. You can make people feel moral indignation, and they can feel moral disgust, an actual, physical reaction to their bodies, by manipulating the way they're experiencing themselves and the world around them. So yeah, this is what's happening, and this is why people are fighting each other, not because there is any logical or emotionally sound reason to do so, but because we're being manipulated and coerced in doing so. And this has been going on forever, and this has been going on forever because the powers that be want this to continue to happen. This is RawCast, and we're going to be seeing you really soon.